Trefethen.
Trefethen.
Trefethen, I'm sorry.
Very close. You're good.
Oh, man. I've been
I've
trying.
heard much worse. Been called much worse.
Okay. So for the past 3 decades, fine art photographer Josh Trefethen, got it?
Good job.
Thank you, has been exhibiting and selling his work in galleries and at art shows across the country. Specializing in travel, street, and landscape photography, his work captures striking moments and environments from around the world. Josh operates an independent digital photography studio located at the Center of the Arts Evergreen, right here, where he provides specialized counseling and fine art printing services for fellow artists and photographers. His approach to the digital to physical workflow is driven by adherence to correct process and technical accuracy. Also, an engineer working in aerospace manufacturing for the past 25 years, Josh brings an analytical rigor to his photography and the printing process, applying the same exactness required in his engineering career to ensure every fine art print archives absolute color accuracy and the highest quality. And after his presentation and the end of the meeting, we're gonna have a little field trip up to see his workshop.
That's right.
All right, take it away.
All right. So how many people here and on Zoom? Maybe I should turn up the volume here on Zoom. Let's see.
I don't know if that even works. It might come over the speakers, but
We'll see. I don't know.
just ask for people to respond.
So Tom, watching the text, if you have any comments, please, Tom will be your translator. So for the people here in the room and on Zoom, how many of you print your work regularly or every once in a while? Do you print through a lab or do you print at home through your own printer or through your own studio?
Home, my own printer.
Yeah? What kind of printer?
Epson B900, I think I did.
Oh, that's great. I've heard of that one. Very cool. Who else? And that was Bill, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, the P800, and I do a lot of metallic stuff through a lab in Utah.
Oh, very cool. Which one in Utah?
It's in St. George.
Oh, I think I know the one. Called like, what is it again? I see them on social media all the time. They post good stuff.
Yeah, they do great stuff. I've never had one redone.
Very cool. Gentleman on the end, did you say you print as well? Cool. What size is that?
13, but
Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Excellent.
it's expensive.
Yeah. What about the P9 and the P8? Like, how big are those?
13 by 9.
Okay, so it's like the countertop. Okay, cool.
The one before you get the stand-up one.
Yeah, that's I have one upstairs. We'll see it later. How about anybody else? Do you guys print, Tom?
I use labs, and I've used the Denver Digital Imaging place. I've
Mhm.
used McKenna. I've used MPix.
Mm-hmm. Probably Bay Photo
Bay
and
Photo.
yeah, all those. Yeah.
They're a little pricey, so I don't go to them very
I
often.
hear you.
And I think I might be trying Josh Trefethen.
Yeah, I print for people. I'm not trying to, it's not my full-time gig and I'm not trying to get more work or anything, but if anybody wants help printing, I can do that too. And you'll see my print shop here in a minute. Anybody else? I think there was another couple hands.
Well, I just had the Canon also.
Oh, cool. Which one?
It was fairly cheap, but then they hosed me on all the ink.
The ink is expensive. That's how they get you.
It's about 8 years old. It's 13 by 19.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
And I have 2 people on Zoom that Kathy Allen Shin is printing through a lab, and so is Ellen Nelson.
Excellent. What's your guys' favorite lab these days?
The lab in Utah is pure art.
Yes. Yeah. Very cool.
Program,
What's that?
program.
They're good.
Yeah.
That used to be like Circle Graphics or something, right? Like it used to be like CG ProPrint and then they've been changing their name.
I have used slide printer and I forget that they changed the name to something else,
Mhm.
but I had them do metal prints.
Cool. I like metal too. It's really durable. Okay, so let me show you like what my process is, and you can tell me if it lands true with you guys with what your experience is. Um, I'm sorry, did we get to you? Do you print?
Well, no, so I have taken workshops where they
Mhm.
did post-processing printing
Mhm.
and went through the whole rigmarole and did a lot of.
So this will probably be familiar to you.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. So I've been printing myself. Some people hate AI. I like to use it. It's pretty fun. I made this infographic, which is the exact stuff that you just read about my past or about my experience or whatever. I've been printing for a long time. Maybe 25, 30 years. I've been doing large format. I have a upstairs, you'll see it. It's a Canon image prograph. It's the 80, no, the 4600. It's 44 inch pigment inks. There's like 12 different inks, and they're each like 700 millimeter tanks. Really expensive to get them all, but they last forever. So it's pretty good. You'll see that. I've been doing photography for, I don't know, since I was a kid, started with film, and now I haven't done film for a while. Now I'm just doing digital these days. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So, first of all, who here is shooting in RAW versus JPEG? RAW? Who's shooting RAW? Everybody. Good. So you guys know why, right? Why do we shoot in RAW?
So many reasons.
So many reasons. And I'm actually getting ahead of myself. This is the first part of what I'm going to talk about is shooting in RAW versus JPEG. Then I'm going to talk about monitor calibration. I actually brought my calibration tool here so I can show you how this works. Talk about color spaces, like which color spaces is best to work with. After you're done working in RAW, what to save it in, how to export it, how to archive it. And then profiles and paper, we'll talk about that too. So many reasons to shoot in RAW, right? So RAW, well, if you look at this slide here, this represents the difference in the amount of data between the two file types, right? So JPEG is a very short, very small data type. There's only a certain number of colors, and RAW is just amazing, right? It's just we get a huge amount of colors. So in printing, why it matters, and to be honest, JPEG is good enough for like social media usually. It's good enough for like when I shoot like my son's soccer game or something, sometimes I don't want the full RAW. I'll just shoot a bunch in JPEG. But if I'm gonna do something like a landscape or something I know I'm gonna print and I want all that data, it's not just a casual photo, I'll shoot in RAW. When you shoot in RAW, there's a lot of things that are better about it. You get like it says here, you get the maximum tonal range, right? You get have you ever seen like when someone prints a photo and it's really choppy, like the sky doesn't quite blend all the way? That's because they don't have the right amount of data to see that transition like you do in a raw file today. You also get more latitude on highlights and shadows. So when you take a picture and like the sky is blown out, a lot of times in RAW, you can actually bring back the clouds, in post-processing. In fact, when you shoot in RAW, it requires that you do some amount of post-processing because the RAW file itself, when you shoot a JPEG, it looks better sometimes, right? When it first comes out of the camera or you see it in your camera, it looks good. And the RAW isn't necessarily optimized for what you might want. So you have to go in and you have to do your post-processing. Most people use Lightroom. Tom, I heard you just gave a presentation or something with your tips and tricks with Lightroom.
And I mentioned to everyone that your approach to post-processing works much better on raw images.
Yeah. You just have so much more latitude. Even in the shadows, like something that's really dark, sometimes you can bring those in and get a really good data from there too. So another thing to do during capture is to use color targets, right? Have you guys ever used a color target? I meant to bring mine down from upstairs. I'll show it to you when we go up there. But sometimes when you take a photo, if the actual color of the scene is of utmost importance, and you don't want to just trust your camera sensor, you can use one of these. It's called a color checker, or a target. When I do fine art reproduction, like I'll take pictures of someone's oil painting, I'll put one of these next to it so that I make sure that the color is right on. It's what the artist chose to paint. It's not what an algorithm came up with, you know? When you go into post-processing, you can do your light balance on the grays and the blacks and the whites on the color checker. You can also, there's programs where you can go in and you can make sure that all of those colors are exactly spot on. And you can make your own profiles too, using this. So that's something also to worry about in capture, is a color target. So the key takeaway of this first part here, shooting RAW versus JPEG, is that you want to shoot in RAW. You want to get all of the data you can, the very most data you can. So I imagine this huge scoop, right? It's grabbing the most that it can. Imagine when you're taking a RAW photo and you're out there and you want to grab all of that data so that you can work with it later. You can get the most color, the most depth, the most wide gamut. Gives you the ultimate flexibility later. So imagine you're scooping up data, and if you're using a JPEG, you've got just a small little scoop. If you're doing RAW, you're getting everything. Okay, so this section about well, first of all, any questions about this? Any comments? Feel free to interrupt me or say anything. If you disagree with me, feel free to correct me too.
There's something that doesn't matter, but I've been in one of those trucks.
Oh yeah, those things are huge. Like the wheels themselves are like what, 10, 12 feet?
They hold 150 tons.
So imagine that raw data. You want all of that.
Oh,
Okay, so we're going to talk about monitor calibration. How many people here calibrate their monitors? Good job. Good job. All right. So why do
I calibrated.
it was already calibrated? That's baloney.
Asus Pro Art. They
So-
come with a calibration.
So what you have to do, unless it has a built-in like one of these, you're supposed to calibrate your monitor every few weeks because it changes over time. And so even in one that comes like pre-calibrated, you'll want to and you can use this if you want. We can go check it out. I think you can. I know that I pay for like the software or something, the calibration tool. I'm not sure if I could use it on your monitor, but I might be able to if it's hooked up to my laptop. But anyway, so this is a special meter that not only will see the color on your screen, but it also measures the ambient light in the room.
In front of your
Yeah, you see this? So this just hooks up into your USB port like so. And on your monitor, it sits right there on your monitor. And you'll go through, let me see, I'll do it right now. You'll go through a, there we go. So this calibration software, it puts a target up on the screen with all of the colors. And this actually takes a reading of your screen of the colors on there. And it will tell how accurate your screen is. And it'll spit out like a custom profile for your monitor that you can use so that your screen now is accurate. And it's called calibrated. And why is that important? Does anybody know why that's important to do?
Consistent prints.
Consistent prints, absolutely. Well, it's like if your monitor isn't set up properly, if it's not calibrated, then when you're editing in Lightroom, like when you're saving those highlights, you're editing color, it might not be what actually is in the file because your monitor's lying to you. It's not giving you, it's not showing you the actual colors that it should. And same when you're printing, the only way to get accurate prints, and this is kind of the foundation, is having a calibrated monitor. So when you're looking on your screen, and then later we'll get into this, you use the printer profile as well, the prints come out accurate. So many times,
That's similar to the spider?
Spider is one brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is X-ray.
Looks better.
I think you really can't go wrong. Like if you go on B&H, there's like 2 or 3 types, and I think they're all good.
So, a question about this, so I just bought a new monitor,
Mhm.
so I have my computer monitor and I look at both when I'm processing. It's confused, like this, I use a Spider X Pro and it just doesn't seem to understand. You'll hold it up against the screen and I try to tell it which screen, but then it like changes my computer
Weird.
display, so I don't know what's.
I would get on with their support, especially if you
Okay.
just bought it. I would call them up and be like, hey, this is what's going on. Can you walk me through it?
Okay,
Yeah. That's what I would do. I'm not sure what would cause that. Yeah, strange behavior. What's that?
technology is weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm gonna go through this whole thing. I don't want to troubleshoot it. But basically what it does, it guides you through, it presents all the colors and it takes readings and then it tells your computer how far it is off.
Does it adjust the monitor for you?
Yeah. So it gives you a profile, and then if you use that profile, your monitor will adjust so it's presenting the right colors. The other thing, the first thing it does is it has you dim your monitor as well. See, part of the problem with matching like a monitor to a print is that in a monitor, you have these pixels and lights blasting through it, right? So you're getting light shining through. Whereas on a print, it's just paper. So you don't have light passing through it. So it's hard to make this look the same as the monitor. You know what I mean? It's just hard. So one of the things in calibration, the first thing it has you do, and that's number 2 here on the screen, is it has you lower your brightness. So you're a certain level of brightness. And that tends to work pretty well. Okay, so key takeaway number 2 is start with a standard canvas. So the canvas being your monitor, what you see with your eyes while you're editing, make sure it's standard, it's calibrated. Any questions on that? Okay. So next, we're going to talk about color spaces, which is the next important thing that also determines like how many colors your file has. The gamut and the Dmax. So the typical ones that there's a whole bunch of them, but the typical ones that we all see is sRGB, Adobe RGB, and ProPhoto RGB. Have you guys heard of those? I'm sure you have. A lot of labs, they want you to give them JPEGs in sRGB. But I don't know how much people realize that when you do that, when you save a file to that low, sometimes you're just not getting the depth of color. And in fact, if you save it like that, you're deleting all that extra color that's outside of that spectrum. So sometimes you'll notice, like if you send a photo to the lab, it won't come back, the color won't be quite as bright, it'll seem a little dull, and that's probably because you sent it as an sRGB.
I have a couple questions about that.
Yeah.
So when you're shooting, you select one of these.
Not when you're shooting. So when you're shooting, you're doing JPEG or RAW, typically, and we want to choose RAW. When you're editing in post, let's say you download your image. For me, my process, I download it into this one program and then I save it off because I edit the RAW files in
Right.
Focus.
But my camera asked me which one of these formats to shoot. So I select OBRG.
Are you shooting in RAW? Okay,
But anyway, okay, that's fine.
so it's probably important to select there depending on your camera and how it's working.
And also
Mhm.
different rentals, like different labs.
Yeah.
Will require different formats here, correct?
The best labs will let you send it to them in ProPhoto, like a TIFF in ProPhoto. It's a larger file, but that's the best. Like you send it to Costco, they usually want like a JPEG.
Yeah.
But if you send it to like, I don't know, maybe Bayphoto or maybe, what was that one?
Pure art,
Pure Art, maybe, what do they want?
just
GIFs. TIFFs, you mean?
chips,
TIFFs, yeah, TIFFs. Yeah. That's better if you can send a TIFF,
and they're huge files.
huge files.
They have little Dropbox.
Yeah. Well, that's good. They're doing a good job though. It's good.
But that's different from the color space, right? I mean.
So TIFF is the file type, right?
And
Or the extension or whatever, and this is the color space. So you want a TIFF because it gives you, like it's better than a JPEG, right? It's better than, well, if you're not, once you export it from RAW, I think you can export depending on the program to like a PSD or a TIFF. There's some other options. I usually do TIFF for archiving my images.
Do you ever use DNGs?
I don't use DNGs all the time. So I'm shooting with a Hasselblad camera, and I have to go through their software to get the raw, to get the colors, the Hasselblad color science. So it goes through Focus 2, and I export from there as a TIFF, and then I pick it up in Lightroom and I do some stuff in there too. But it depends on your camera and your workflow. Yeah. I don't know, did that answer the question?
Well, I guess, because I mean, I can look at my camera and I can say, okay, do I want to shoot in Adobe RGB or ProPhoto RGB? And I'm thinking that if there are some labs that don't accept ProPhoto RGB, it'd be better for me to select Adobe RGB, but
I would always work in ProPhoto and I would save your stuff in ProPhoto.
But those aren't camera selections, they're
mine is a camera selection.
only if you're outputting in JPEG. If you're outputting in
No, I
RAW,
output in RAW and my.
then those settings don't matter.
Right, that's my understanding.
Oh, okay,
But
but it doesn't.
I'm not sure which camera you have or what the system is like,
Okay.
because everything's different.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. But generally, if the lab is requiring a lower color space, like
Yeah.
Adobe or sRGB, I would save one version off for them like that, but I would keep all your images always archived in ProPhoto.
got it, thank you.
Because then you have, because like when you save it down, you're basically deleting all the extra data. I have let me see if I can get to this real quick. Right there. So this kind of shows the different color spectrums. So you see the sRGB is the smallest one here in the middle. And then you have the Adobe RGB, and then you have the ProPhoto RGB. So if you save your file down as in sRGB, you're deleting all this extra color. You're just cropping your file, if that makes sense. So you want to always work in ProPhoto. If someone requires a lower one, save one version, if that makes sense. Okay. All right, so key takeaway number 2 or number 3. As I was just saying, do you want to save all of your color data? You want to get the most color, you want to save all of that. So work in ProPhoto. Any questions there? Okay, so how are we doing on time?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, so this is the next part that's pretty interesting. Actually, before we get into it, I want to pass around some papers that you guys can look at.
We want more light for this.
You'll probably do one more right. These are all test prints I just made for this, so. You want to write in your fingerprints on? Still drink on. So those right there, so what I printed these out for, so you can see. How different. Images look on different types of paper. These ones right here are all glossy, so you can just look at those and pass them on. If anybody wants any of these, you can take them. And just print them out. Little fun with it. So that's glossy, this first set that I'm passing. The second set that I'm passing is this is a fine art paper. It's more of like a watercolor paper feel. It's really nice. I really love how this feels. You can see like some of these are the same images. Like this one.
Yeah.
You can see how it's different on different things, right?
Which one is this one?
So this is a watercolor paper, a matte fine art paper. And that's a glossy paper. And here it goes, Tom, I'm gonna do some over here too. Yes. It's similar to the glossy right there.
I've got a print on it, thanks for the hasn't played.
Here's a comparison of those two on glossy versus like matte.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay.
And this is like the cheapest
It's like
matte fine art paper. It's just a matte photo paper. You can see how that looks different than the others as well. And this one right here, the last one,
This is all personal preference.
pretty much, and people kind of pair it like
What's
things that
appropriate for the animal.
yeah, like sometimes like the glossy paper is really good for images with really a lot of black. And it feels like it has a greater Dmax.
And these are not the watercolor map.
No, this is the cheaper photo, it's matte photo papers.
Okay, got it.
And this right here is a canvas, so you kind of see how
Okay.
things look on canvas and feel on canvas as well. So I hope you on Zoom could hear us. Well, we were just talking about different types of paper and how the prints look and feel on different types of paper.
So tell everybody on Zoom that you can visit your studio.
Yeah, you guys can come by. I'm not there all the time, so you might text me or call me if you want to come by and check out my studio. My contact info is on this presentation. Tom's gonna post it into it as well. Yeah. So different types of paper will absorb ink differently, and like different photos will look totally different on different types of media. So there's different types, like there's matte fine art paper. We've got a few different types here that I'm passing around. The glossy paper you can see. For organics. I actually have upstairs, I have some Barita, and metallic. I have some of those papers as well upstairs I can show you. But here's just a basic like infographic on the different types of paper and what you might use it for. But it really does come down to personal preference, like however you feel your image looks on a certain type. Something to keep in mind, all of these different media types, different papers, when you print them, so there's color management right from when you take the picture, right? Because you want to get the most color, the most data, you're taking it in raw, you're outputting it to ProPhoto, you're calibrating your monitor, but then when it gets to the printer, how does the printer know how to get the right colors, right? So the way it does that is through your ICC profiles. ICC profiles are like a translator for your printer. And basically what it does, is it takes what you see on your screen, and it has a file that says, okay, to get these colors to look exactly like this, on this paper, this is how you have to lay down the ink. This is how much ink, this is how concentrated, and the resolution needs to be. That's what an ICC profile does. It translates the color from your image to your printer and that paper. So for each paper type that you see here, I have a different printer profile. Like I'll have a certain profile for the glossy paper. I'll have a certain profile for the matte paper, for the canvas. I have a bunch of different types of papers, like even banner paper. I have a translucent paper that I can put up in Windows. But yeah, they all require their own profile. And the way you get these profiles, what's that? That's canvas. Yeah, that's a special canvas that is prepped for inkjet. So it has a coating on it that is made to soak up the ink. And then, so for each of these types of paper, you usually will get a generic profile for that paper and your printer from the manufacturer. So if you go to like Hahnemuhl's website, like sometimes I have like Hahnemuhl paper. That watercolor paper is a Hahnemuhl paper called William Turner. You go to Hahnemuhl's website, you look at for their ICC profiles, and you have free profiles you can download. Even if you don't print yourself, if you print with a lab and you know which printer and paper they use, you can download that profile so that you can soft proof in Lightroom. So when you go to print, you can click soft proof, you can pick which paper and printer combo, and it'll show you on the screen how it will look.
Josh, you use the term DMAX, that's not something I'm familiar with, can you talk about that?
Yeah, let me go back to that here. So on this slide right here under glossy and luster, it talks about DMAX, and it has to do with how deep your blacks can be or how they can look. If you have a matte paper, for example, like a maybe it's right here. Let's see. So they have more DMAX in the glossy paper. Yeah, here's this. Let's do this. So for example, you can see when you look at these two, how the black are. And here it looks more like a gray. Or not really a gray, you can tell it's more like matte black. You see that difference?
Oh, yeah, they told us.
So the T-Max is how black you can make it. In glossy papers, the metal prints have a better D-Max or a deeper black than the matte paper. That makes sense. So that's that. Okay, so I don't know if everybody on Zoom could hear. But the DMAX talks about, it basically refers to how deep your blacks can be. And glossy papers, metal prints have a greater DMAX, usually all the time, have a greater DMAX than like a matte paper will.
A couple of other questions.
Yeah. Please, you're good.
Yeah, so. One thing that I'll do is like, I'll go to a lab and I'll say, print it on these different papers, and then I get them and I look at them and
Sure.
They must have different ICC profiles. For
Yeah.
how they're printing, so it doesn't matter on my end on what I'm sending them to Sarah.
So if you have a calibrated monitor, then it should match just fine on their end.
Okay.
I have a challenge when people want me to print something and it's not calibrated, or they want it to look just like it does on their phone or something. And then it's really hard to make that happen on paper. Sometimes, depending on what they're doing. But yeah, you should be fine. But you can also ask for their ICC profile. You can say, hey, can I download your profile for this paper or whatever? And then you can go into, like I'll show you here.
So I'd have to send up multiple versions for different ICPC profiles in order to get the different versions on different paper.
Say that again.
So if they have a different ICC profile for every different kind of paper, if I want to have to try different papers to see what I like, then I would have to have the different ICC profiles for each of the different types.
Free printer and paper combo.
Okay.
So if they have like 3 different printers with the same paper, it'd be a different profile for each one of those.
Okay,
Or vice versa, like, one printer with 3 different papers. Yeah.
okay. And the other thing is that in this workshop that I took, and this guy was kind of old school, but, he had us like print out on this like test paper, which was not as good a quality as like binding paper. But just keep looking at the color and keep revising things in, like whatever.
The test paper and the final paper
Yeah,
have the same profile, you're probably okay.
okay,
Cause sometimes, like some papers, like some of the papers I get from Canon, they'll have like an economy paper and like a heavyweight
right,
paper, but they have the same exact profile.
okay,
So you can do that, but if they have different profiles, then you might need to fine tune them
okay.
when you get to regular paper, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so this is my print utility right here, right? So when I'm printing something, here's my printer, it's actually upstairs, we can print something right now. Well, it's probably timed out to not. If I'm gonna grab. Same image. So this is just how it looks if I pull it up in Lightroom or whatever. When I'm printing down here,
yeah,
I'm telling it right here, I'm telling it use, like, if you don't set an ICC profile, you're telling the printer to choose just whatever it thinks is the best color profile. So I would, like, this is that fine art, this is a custom profile that I downloaded from Honeywell for their William Turner is kind of like it's that paper right here, there, the waterproof. So if you do this and then you click soft proof, then it'll change and it'll show you what it'll look like on the paper with that profile.
you do that again?
I don't even see the difference with this one,
Oh, probably.
just barely. But I'll
Okay.
say this is how it looked. Yeah, you can see the difference if you like the flowers and stuff like that. So that's how it looks on my computer. This is how it's saying it'll look on the printer when it's printed on that paper with this profile. With different papers, the difference is quite a bit. Anyway, so that's when you can use those ICC profiles without actually using the printer. Okay. Okay, so takeaway number 4 is what we just talked about. Use an ICC profile when you're printing. That's you telling the printer, this is how I want you to put the colors on the paper. Otherwise, it just guesses. And it usually doesn't look good. If you've ever printed something and it came out like darker than you thought it should be, or the colors weren't quite right, it's probably because you didn't have the right profile for the printer and the paper. Okay, so in engineering, that's what I do for my day job. We always have processes that we follow. And a lot of times you've ever heard the saying, trust the process. Trust the process. So this is kind of the process I just kind of put together for this presentation. These are the 4 key elements to making sure your color is spot on when you're capturing, when you're working with your files, up until when you're printing them and actually putting down ink on paper. Trust the process, because when you shoot in RAW, it's not going to look as good as JPEG right out of the bat. But trust that you'll get more data, and after you edit it, you'll have a better image. edit. So number one here is capture and raw, edit in a wide gamut space like ProPhoto RGB. And use a 16-bit workflow. That'll give you all of the colors. Number two, calibrate. We went over that with this calibration tool. Very important to calibrate your monitor. And then also what we just talked about, apply an ICC profile. And it needs to be unique and specific for each printer and paper. It's even better. So there's some services out there, like I think B&H might do this. There's a place, I think, I forget where it is, called IT Supplies. Have you heard of them? I buy some ink from them as well. They have a color service where for, I think it's like $15, you can print a target on paper. And then they will scan it. They have a one of these, except it's made for printers. And they will scan it, and then they will give you a custom profile for your printer and any paper. So if you can't find a profile from the manufacturer, you can always get a custom one made. I've gotten several custom ones made. Even if they had the manufacturer has it, sometimes it's better to have a specific one just for your printer. So you know it's spot on.
One more question.
Yeah.
So I've had trouble sending in black and white photos, and I've been told that the lab didn't have a black and white
Hmm.
that they use, I guess, and so there's like a red cast or a purple cast.
That's strange.
Yeah,
They should be able to figure that out, you'd think.
you would think,
Which lab is this?
I'm trying to remember.
I had that happen to me too with the metal print.
Yeah.
Back, like looking a little bit purple.
Yeah, and they said they have to have a specific black and white.
Maybe they're looking for a certain profile or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah.
You could ask for their printer profile and ask them exactly how to save the file type. That might help. There's also there's this company. So I went to it was years ago, I went to some trade show in New York, and there's a company there that was Digital Silver Imaging, I think is their name. And they do like silver halide prints from digital files. You can send them your black and white, and you can get back an actual like like silver halide print. It's really neat.
Old
Yeah.
school stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That is.
And it's not that expensive. But I would look into them because I bet that would turn out even better. Digital Silver Imaging, I think it was. Yeah, really good. Of course, I can also print, black and white if you want to. I'd be happy to try it out for you.
IT Supplies is a great company.
They're great, aren't they?
Yeah.
You can call them, like I asked them questions about I bought a bunch of ink from them. But I asked them questions about certain things, and they're really helpful. They have really knowledgeable
that?
staff.
IT Supplies.
IT supplies?
They're located out right outside Chicago.
Yeah.
We have a question from online, from Zoom. Ron Pearson is saying, what DPI or pixels per inch or file size settings do you use? Does it vary with paper size, paper type, or just image size?
I'd say usually I'm at 300 DPI. I don't think you really need to go higher than that, but I've gone higher than that sometimes just to see how it looks. I print really big. And I use
How low are you willing to go for a large print?
depends on the paper. So like canvas is more forgiving because it has the texture. So you can go like 150 DPI on canvas and it'll look fine. But I prefer higher. I usually go 300 to 600 on everything. Did that answer the question?
Assume so. He'll post again if he has more questions. He says thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. Absolutely. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay, so let's review key takeaways. Number one, shoot in raw. Get all the data you can. Scoop all of that up. Number two, calibrate your monitor so that you know what you're editing is the actual values. And when you're adjusting colors, you're adjusting sharpness, you're adjusting different things, you know that your monitor is showing you what it's supposed to. Key takeaway number three, save all of your data in ProPhoto. Save all of your images for archiving in ProPhoto. ProPhoto it has such a wide gamut that it actually exceeds human vision. So you can actually print stuff using ProPhoto that you don't see on your screen, but you can see on your paper, on the print. Because monitors can't show it all even. Key takeaway number four, tell your printer what to do. Don't let it guess what your colors are going to be. Get the right ICC profile. Tell it exactly how to lay down that ink and to make the colors accurate. That's the key. So again, here's the workflow. And I made a bunch of infographics that I put at the end. Tom's gonna post a link to this presentation. Feel free to download this stuff. But this talks about why to shoot raw, like we talked about. This one talks about monitor calibration, the different steps, why to do it, what's involved. This one is that one we referenced about the color spaces. Yeah, that's it. Yes.
When I tried to calibrate my monitor, it seemed like it'd be different depending on what time of day, how much ambient light,
Very
how
true.
much overhead light there might be.
The best case is to, if you want to be super accurate, this does have this right here is made to measure the ambient light. So when you calibrate it, you can have a different profile for morning or night or whatever. You can do different profiles for different times of day, but then you'll have to remember to switch it, on your monitor when you're using a computer. But the best case scenario is that you're in a room with controlled light. So you don't have windows, you don't have, glare or anything on your screen. Use blackout drapes, whatever. That's the best case scenario.
Do you leave the overhead lights off?
If I'm just looking at my monitor, I like it dim, yeah. But if I'm looking at prints, that's when you want like a daylight. Have you ever seen those photo color proofing kiosks? I think they're called. Have you seen those? They're like, let me see if I can find one real quick. Yeah, like that. So they have these it's like a voting booth or something, but it blocks out like all the color. It has a certain temperature of light, like I think it's like 6,500 Kelvin or something like that. And it's made so that when you view a print, you have a controlled lighting as well. So in the print labs and stuff, they use these types to make sure that all their images are exactly the same on the print side. Yeah. Did I answer your question though?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, that was fantastic, Josh.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
You got my business.
Yeah, anytime you need some print